What is going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a great day. Today's video is on fat loss. I'm going to be breaking down step by step what you need to be doing to lose fat, to lose weight, whether you are overweight or if you are just looking to lose 10 to 20 pounds to see your abs. Whatever the case may be, the principles outlined in this video are universal when it comes to fat loss. So apply what I'm about to talk about today and you will get shredded. All right, so welcome to Fat Loss 101. This is a recent fat loss transformation that I made in about 5 months. And the principles I'm about to outline, as I mentioned in the introduction, are universal. So it doesn't matter what your goal is, no matter how big, how small, how much weight you have to lose. Just listen to the things that I'm about to tell you, and you will be able to make a transformation of your own. So before we get into best practices and things you need to be doing, the first thing we need to understand is energy expenditure versus energy consumption. So our body needs energy to function. We need energy to basically facilitate everything that we do in our day to day, right? And where do we get this energy from? We get it from calories. So I'm not talking about macronutrients. I'm talking about calories as a whole. So carbs, fats, proteins, it doesn't matter. We're not going to get into macronutrients right now. We're going to get into it in a few slides. But the first thing you need to understand is you need to be burning more calories than you consume in order to lose weight. So whether you're consuming all carbs or all fats for whatever reason, or all protein, it doesn't matter because our body has mechanisms to use any of these macronutrients as energy sources. So don't be fooled into thinking a keto diet is the best way to lose weight, because if you are only eating protein, but you're eating in a surplus of calories, you're still going to lose weight, even though it's just protein. So consume less calories than you expend. That's how you lose weight. Very, very simple. You guys are probably wondering why there's a picture of my dog. And it's funny because I put it there because my parents, whenever my dog puts on a little bit of weight, my parents instantly say, "Oh my gosh, we need to walk our dog more and we need to feed him less, right? We need to increase his activity and give him less food." And a lot of people do this with their dogs, but they don't apply the same logic to themselves. But we are no different from dogs. If you want to lose weight, you got to move more, you got to eat less. What does that do? That puts you in a calorie deficit to make you lose weight. So that's energy expenditure. Understand that, because that is number one. Okay, so we're in a deficit. How do we make sure the weight that we lose is actually fat? Because we don't want to be losing muscle. We don't want to be looking, like we're just skin and bones. We just want to lose fat, right? To feel better, to look better. The answer is muscle. So here we got the three goats of bodybuilding. Yeah, Arnold, Roddy, and then I'm not sure who this guy is, but he's very jacked as well. He deserves to be up there with these two guys. But muscle is what is going to allow you to lose purely fat, because that's the goal. You want to lose fat. So why do we need to build muscle mass if the goal is fat loss? Number one, muscle has a higher caloric expenditure by nature. So muscle is a metabolically active tissue, meaning that it requires more energy than fat, because muscle uses energy for a variety of different processes. So energy, also known as ATP, that's our body's kind of energy, adenosine triphosphate. It's always hard to say that. But muscle uses energy, or ATP, to break down and process proteins, to maintain ion balances, store glycogen, and so much more. Fat doesn't do nearly as many things as muscle does, so fat requires a lot less energy. So whenever you think about your dream physique, a lot of men say they just want to look more toned and more defined. What does that actually mean? And what does that actually look like? So being toned and being defined is just another way of saying you have more muscle and less fat on you. That's what gives your body that pop. And that's what gives you that definition that you're looking for. If you lose fat without building any muscle, you are skinny. It's like it's like building a house without a strong foundation, right? It's just going to fall apart. Cuz your goal is not to just your goal obviously should be to lose weight if you're overweight, but having muscle makes that process so much easier because of the higher caloric expenditure, and also it makes you look better when you actually peel off that fat. Aside from the fat loss benefits, muscle mass is correlated with longevity, increased bone density, higher energy, and just so many other important health metrics that you do not want to be neglecting. So focus on building muscle. That is the number one. Okay. So it seems pretty straightforward. We need to be in a calorie deficit and we need to build muscle. How do we do this? So, first thing you need to do with regards to your diet is you need to be tracking your calories and your macros. Aside from that, you also need to ensure that you are getting enough micronutrients. So, how do we do this? Food Scale and tracking app. These are going to be your best friends, especially when you are just getting started with your fat loss journey. As you get more advanced, I would still recommend keeping the Food Scale, but the tracking app, it can be, adjusted for if you're not a fan of it. But when you're starting, you need to be tracking everything so you understand how many calories are on the plate in front of you, right? Because if you're not doing that, you're steering a ship without a map. You are going into this thing blind. Because how can you know if you are in a calorie deficit if you don't know how much you are actually eating? The easiest way to do this is a meal plan. I am always team meal plan. I actually don't even use a tracking app anymore because I know exactly how much I eat every single day because I'm on a meal plan. I'll track once in a while just to get an understanding, or if I make adjustments to my meal plan. But for the most part, since I'm eating the same thing every day, I know exactly how many calories I'm eating, how much protein I'm eating, how many carbs I'm eating, so on and so forth, because my meal plan is consistent. So you need to be in a deficit. I put a very, very arbitrary range here, 250 to 800 calories, but this totally depends. This range you can even be in a deficit up to 1,000 calories, to be totally honest with you. It really depends on you. For example, someone who is extremely overweight, let's say you're 50 pounds overweight, I don't know. You can be in a much more aggressive deficit because your body has all this fat, which can be used as a fuel source to lose weight. So you can actually hop into a deficit very aggressively and still progress in the gym because you have all this body fat, which your body is using to produce ATP, to produce energy, and to sustain your performance in the gym. With regards to protein, you want to aim for 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. You can go down to 0.8 or upwards to 1.2. I personally like 1 gram per pound of body weight. It's just very easy to stick to, and it ensures that you're getting the satiety benefits from protein, and you're ensuring that you're preserving your muscle mass because protein is essential for building muscle and maintaining muscle. So as you're getting into a deficit, you want to continue to build muscle or at least maintain it. Protein is going to be king. Your fats you can play around with anywhere between 0.25 to 0.45 grams of fat per pound of body weight. Don't completely neglect your fats. That's the last thing you want to do because fats are very important for hormone regulation, for joint health, variety of reasons. You do want to be keeping your fats in. They are not as bad as the media makes them seem. Just ensure that you're getting them from quality sources. Carbs are going to fill the rest. Just know that carbs are not the enemy. All these keto warriors are going to say you don't need carbs. That is the farthest thing from the truth. You absolutely do need carbs. Why? Because carbs are your body's preferred fuel source. Muscle cells convert glucose into ATP extremely efficiently. Fats and proteins, they have to go through a couple extra steps in the metabolic process to be turned into ATP. But carbs, glucose, very, very efficient to be turned into ATP. So your body loves carbs. This is why you should be programming majority of your carbs around your workouts. This will elevate your performance, top up glycogen, and take advantage of insulin sensitivity. There's this quote that I've seen on the internet by quite a few people. It's macros load the gun, micros pull the trigger. I've just been seeing this quote recently, and I think it's awesome because it's so true. Macros are important for facilitating your body's energy needs. But without micronutrients, those processes won't be optimized. Those processes may not even occur. So you need to be tracking your food. That's why a tracking app is so important to see if there are any major deficiencies in your diet with regards to your micronutrients. Because even if there is one micronutrient that is deficient or several micronutrients that are deficient, even if you have everything else dialed and in place, that single deficiency can completely derail your progress, can affect your health too. For example, magnesium, very common deficiency among people. And magnesium is responsible for regulating your nervous system, maintaining ion balance within your cells, and even muscle contraction and relaxation. So if you notice you're not getting enough magnesium in your diet, you may want to supplement, or you may want to throw in some highly magnesium dense foods. Now, to build muscle, obviously you want to be dialing in the gym. This is just, it's a no-brainer. You need to be training each muscle group 1 to 2 times a week. Every time you head into a session, you need to be focusing on progressive overload. So over time, you want to be getting a little bit stronger by increasing the reps or the weight on your sets to ensure that your body is making the necessary adaptations to build muscle. If you want a full breakdown on how to overcome plateaus and how to ensure that you continue to make progress and a deeper dive on what it means to actually dial in the gym, I will link a video that I made down in the description. You guys can check that out. But just know that building muscle happens here, pushing yourself in the gym. This is where you build those adaptations and you build the physique that you actually want. Finally, recovery. Now, this kind of goes hand in hand with nutrition, but I want to get a little bit into sleep and cortisol. There are a lot more factors when it comes to recovery, but if I were to explain them, this video would be 25, 30 minutes long. So the biggest thing you can do for your recovery is optimize your sleep. Sleep is paramount for the muscle building process. It maximizes muscle protein synthesis, promotes growth hormone release, supports the immune system, reduces cortisol, so many more benefits. You need to be getting minimum 7 hours of sleep. I personally average about 7.5 hours of sleep. I feel pretty good on it, but honestly, I think I can do more. And I would feel so much better if I did more, if I got 8.5 hours. I get it though, life gets in the way, but really prioritize your sleep. A few ways that I personally like to get quality sleep is number one, have a nighttime routine. So every night have a system that you follow to wind down, whether that's reading a little bit, stretching, just allowing your mind to decompress and release all the thoughts and stress of the day. This will allow you to fall asleep a lot easier. You also want to be going to sleep at the same times consistently each day. This has been a game changer for me. And in the morning, you also want to be taking in morning sunlight, because when you take in morning sunlight first thing in the morning or within 10 to 15 minutes of waking, you are programming your circadian rhythm to tell yourself that it's time to be up. And then when the sun sets and it's time to go to bed, melatonin and all these, awesome sleep chemicals are released in your brain to help you fall asleep. You also want to be in a cold room, not cold, but cool. And you don't want to have heavy meals before bed. A bunch of things you can do to optimize your sleep. Those are just a few, but really, really ensure that your sleep is on point and prioritize it, because that is going to be key for the muscle building process. Beyond sleep, you do need to be reducing your cortisol. So take time for yourself, whether that's to journal, to meditate, to do breath work. or to just do something you enjoy. Cortisol is an essential hormone, but we need to keep it under control, not only to enhance our physique development journey, but to also increase our quality of life. Thank you guys so much for making it to the end of the video. If you have any specific takeaways, please drop it down in the comments below. If you have any questions or concerns, or if there's any topics that you would like me to dive into with a bit more detail, let me know as well, and I'd be happy to make a follow-up video on that. It's always good to have more YouTube video ideas. But yeah, if you are interested in coaching, please send me a DM on Instagram. And I hope you guys have a good day. Apply all these concepts to your fat loss journey, and I promise you the process will be a lot easier. Have a good day, guys.